Hey folks, it's Andy. Welcome to Kendo Rant. Let's get started. Okay, so this first question that I'm going to talk about is it's something I wanted to talk about for a while now, actually. And it's not just one specific question. I get this question sort of maybe once every couple of months, more so in the last few years. But it's been something that people have been asking me now for years. And I always go back with the same answer. And it's about vegan-friendly Bogu or kendo equipment. So obviously, like a vegan lifestyle is becoming much more popular outside of Japan. It's not popular in Japan at all, which is why it's a issue, I guess. But yeah, essentially, yeah, the question that I get most often is there such a thing as a vegan-friendly Bogu that doesn't use any sort of animal products? And I got the email again today, and I thought, well, I'm gonna address this in the video, so hopefully it'll go out there on YouTube or whatever, and maybe people will search it before they fire an email across and get the answer straight away. So let's go through it. This particular email is quite detailed. It's a very, very good series of questions, actually. So I do want to address them. But first, before I do that, I'd like to talk about why vegan Bogu just doesn't exist. All right, vegan-friendly Bogu, I should say, probably. So with the onset, of course, of modern materials becoming more and more popular in like the construction of kendo Bogu or kendo equipment in general, there are much fewer animal parts used in the majority of Bogu sets these days. Most leathers is synthetic leather these days, but there are still some parts that are always made using animal parts. So no matter how much a sort of Bogu set says it only uses synthetic leathers and stuff, there's currently only there's currently a few parts that are only able to be made using animal parts. Now the first one is on the men. Okay, so on the men, traditionally this would be covered with deer skin leather, but these days more often like ori-slash fabric like this, this particular one, or synthetic leather. Both of these are common, and then there's a leather trim around the edge here. Now this is usually synthetic leather on most lower end sets, and more higher end sets they tend to use deer skin. However, this one particularly, this one's synthetic leather, right? However, this part here, this hard part that's painted black and red, this is called the menbuchi. This is what fixes the mengane and the uchiwa, which is what fits around your face. It's what fits it to the futon, and it's basically what pulls the whole thing together. This is always made using rawhide. Okay, sometimes it's buffalo hide. Most commonly though, it's pig hide. It's the same sort of thing that they make those sort of dog chews out of. It's basically dried animal hide. So yeah, basically what they do is it's dried, and then when they're ready to make the men, they have it cut into strips and they soak it, and it goes very soft, very pliable. They stitch the men together using that, and then it dries out again and it goes very hard, and that's why it's hard. There's currently no alternative. There's no alternative for that at the moment. They're all made using that. There's no alternative out there at present. So no is the answer to that. There just isn't anything out there that responds in the same way and can be worked in the same way as that. Sorry, as the rawhide is for that particular purpose. Certainly not in. And then introducing that into the actual production facility, even if something was sort of come up with, introducing that into the production facility is also going to be a huge challenge in itself as well. But we're not even at that stage at the moment. The dolmune is generally also made out of leather, cow leather on most sets, even the cheaper ones, though it is possible to make that actually using synthetic leather, and I have seen that before. So that's a hurdle that can be overcome. But getting around the menbuchi on the men, first of all, is there just isn't an alternative to it. Secondly, and this has come up in the question that was answered, but that was asked, but the Shinai parts as well. Currently, there's nowhere that produces Shinai parts out of synthetic leather. They're all made using real animal leather, and they're made in the tens of thousands. They don't just make one. So like you couldn't even special order one. So yeah, you can't get a vegan friendly Shinai either. I'm afraid. And yeah, there just isn't a way around that. Now, the questions that you put to me in relation to this is which parts of the Bogu are most difficult or impossible to replace with synthetic or plant materials, and why? So I've just covered that, I think. But yeah, the Membuchi, because there isn't another alternative out there right now that responds in the same way, or that would be kind of straightforward for us to introduce into the production process. And similarly with the Shinai, the leather parts of the Shinai, because there just isn't a market to manufacture them in the tens of thousands like they do out of synthetic materials. Number 2, can a Bogu made of synthetic plant materials be of premium quality and durability as well? So if you were to make it out of synthetic materials, can it still be premium quality? So first off, obviously, if we disregard the Membuchi and then we just make everything else out of synthetic materials, you'll never be able to match the quality and durability of a full deerskin set. It just offers better durability. Synthetic leather is very durable, no doubt about it, especially the modern ones. But if we're talking about premium quality, it can't be dyed in the same way. I do know that there's other companies out there that are sort of touting Aizome dyed, like traditionally dyed synthetic leather, which is one thing. I don't imagine that it takes the dye as well as deerskin does, frankly. And secondly, synthetic leather, frankly, just is not as durable as deerskin. It tends to... the problem with synthetic leather is it's quite a fibrous material, actually. So anyone that's used Corday with synthetic palms will know that it starts with extended use. It starts to somewhat peel in a sort of way. It kind of goes a bit fibrous, and that certainly happens on the Bogu as well. So it tends to go a little bit tatty with extended use. And what I'm talking about, of course, like I say, the modern ones, they're really quite good. It's not something that happens right away. But if you're talking about comparing the premium quality of a deerskin Bogu set, it just isn't going to be matched. And then finally, this synthetic high-quality scar already exists. I've heard somewhere that leather is a mandatory material for the scar, and one can get expelled from a tournament in the case of non-compliance with this rule. So I don't have the rule book to hand, but the issue with the scar, or the leather parts of the Shinai, it's not even so much the rules thing, all right? There is, it probably does say in the rules that it should be made of leather, but I don't know. But that isn't the reason. The thing in the rules about that, if you had a synthetic leather one, I don't think you'd be totally against the rules. What you'd have a problem with is if it had some sort of grips on it, is generally what they don't like to have. Something that helped you grip it better. But the problem's the manufacturing problem. They don't just make these like one-off. You'd be starting to look at a very, very high expense in order to invest in that sort of thing. And again, you will be losing quality. So unfortunately, right now, there just isn't an avenue where kendo can be practiced completely in a completely vegan friendly way. Unfortunately, veganism and vegetarianism, frankly, it just isn't a popular way of life in Japan. It just isn't. Many people in Japan believe that vegetarianism, this isn't all Japanese, of course not, but in my experience, having lived in Japan for nearly 10 years, many Japanese people believe that being vegetarian means that you don't eat much meat, and the kind of people who are completely vegan are almost non-existent. I'm sure any true vegetarians or vegans that do spend their life out there can tell you of their daily endeavours to comply with that way of life, as well as a Japanese diet. It's very difficult. So, so yeah, it's very difficult at the minute to change that. Okay, so with that being said, I'm noticing my voice is sounding a little bit stuffy. I've got a bit of a cold coming on, so forgive me if I'm sounding a little bit, stranger than normal. Right, next question. Of what I understand from the videos and texts I've read, when investigating Ojiwaza and Shikakewaza, Debana can be forced, as you said, by pressure or by showing a weakness or something like that. Awesome video, greetings from Mexico. Great. Okay, so when you say showing a weakness, that's called sasoi, or invitation. So you mean by inviting an attack. And yeah, that's actually the core of Debana waza. It's the core of Ojiwaza as well. Ojiwaza isn't... So shikakewaza, ojiwaza, debana waza. Shikakewaza is attacking waza, so where you attack. Ojiwaza means a responsive waza. So when you receive a strike and you parry and return a strike of your own. And debana waza, if I can get my words out, is when you attack at the moment your opponent decides to strike. Having said that, the kind of concept of all threes is very, very interlinked. Ojiwaza isn't waiting for an attack and then having faster reflexes and blocking and returning. It's not a reflexive waza. You still have to do... It's very close to shikake waza. In fact, they often say you have to do the shikake, which is the kind of setup. You have to still... you still have to initiate the opponent's attack. You have to make them attack so that you can practice your kaishi waza or your nuki waza or whatever. So they're very, very closely linked together. And debana waza is the kind of ultimate, really, where you've really got control of the situation and you're able to make them attack, and you're so tuned into the situation that you're able to time your strike so that it connects literally at the point where they kind of, not so much connects, but you're able to launch your strike literally at the point in which they've passed the point of no return, where they've decided to strike but they can't bail out. That's the kind of golden waza, really. Okay, next question. Speaking of waza, what would you say is a particular waza or group of waza that work well for you? In addition, what is your favorite waza, whether regardless of whether you use it or see others using it? Well, what works well for me? It depends. Lots of waza work well for me, depending on my opponent. Since I started working towards my 6th dan, before I took my 6th dan exam, I was very, very focused on taking the sen, the initiative, and striking with debana waza. And I'd say that's still probably because I put so much effort into working towards that, I'd probably say that's become my most effective waza. And when I was younger, and I could get away with being a little bit late because I could make up for it with speed. I was quite good at degote or debanakote, but it wasn't a good debanakote. It would score a point in shiai, but it wasn't a good debanakote. At the time I was happy about it, but when I look back on it, that kind of debanakote is bad. It was I was a bit too late, but bam, I could hit this kote. It wasn't really me forcing a strike like I just said a moment ago and then hitting a good kote. It was more like I'd kind of be able to guess through experience of doing lots of shiai that it was likely they were probably going to hit kote in that situation. I had a good sense of timing, so I'd throw it out there, and maybe sort of 60-70% of the time I was right. But these days, yeah, I mean, I'd say that men waza works the best for me. I'm quite good at hiki waza as well, actually, for a Westerner. I'm not bad at hiki waza, actually. I don't compete that much anymore, but when I was competing, I used to win quite a lot of shiai, especially in the last few years with hiki waza. And what is my favourite waza? My favourite waza is debana men. It's debana men, but I also kind of like nukido as well, men nukido. I like doing it. I think it looks cool. It feels great. But Debana Men's the best, isn't it? You know, because you can pass your hachi down with Debana Men if you get it right. The hard bit is getting it right. So, next one. Can you make a video showing how to iron a Hakama? No. You don't need to iron a Hakama, that's why. But I will make a video showing you how to properly fold a Hakama. If you properly fold a Hakama, and basically what you need to do is, if you're using a synthetic Hakama and you're washing it in the washing machine, get it out of the washing machine, hang it up. Use either you can get some like Hakama hangers, which actually I don't think we've got on the website anymore. But anyway, you can use two normal hangers, and you hang both sides up separately, but hang them up parallel, and then just straighten the Hakama out as you hang it up to dry, and use a few clothes pegs to pin the pleats straight. Once it's totally dry, you do the same as well with a cotton Hakama if you're hand washing it. Once it's totally dry, you get it down and you fold it up nice and neat, and you leave it folded up. And if you do that, then you will never need to iron it. Okay, you don't need to iron the Hakama. I will make a video though showing you how to properly fold it up though at some point. Excuse me. Right. Next one. Our club is thinking about hosting a tournament or seminar to help raise funds. Do you have any tips there? Okay. So yeah, if you need to raise funds for the club, a seminar's a pretty good idea. Tournament as well. I mean, tournaments are okay, but I kind of feel like a seminar is likely to be more profitable for you for raising the money. I always seem to feel like tournaments end up making a loss. To really make a successful tournament, then you're going to need a lot of organisation. You're going to need referees. You're going to need courts. You're going to need to look after the referees. You're going to need people to manage the courts. It's going to be a much bigger, more difficult event. And then, if you can get a teacher to volunteer their services to run a seminar for you, then, even if you pay their expenses, if you can get a good teacher that's well known, then a seminar is a great idea. I think it's probably got more likely of raising money. What you need to make sure you get your date set in advance, and make sure you create an event on Facebook, because everybody in Kendo uses Facebook almost, and loads of those events are done on there, so people can plan it and know if they're available, and all the details are on there. Make sure as well that whatever event you do, whether it's a tournament or a seminar, make sure that the information is out there as early as possible and it's clear and easy to understand. What you don't want is people turning up on the date, and this happens all the time, and it's like, well, where do I go? Where do I park my car? Where's the sports hall? What time does it start? What time does it finish? Where, that sort of thing. How much does it cost? It needs to be super clear right from the start. Okay? So yeah, that's what I'd say there. Okay, last one. A bit of a short video today, but yeah, as you can tell, I'm starting to sound a little bit weird. Like I say, I've got a cold coming on. So, right, about oval grip Shinais. Beside the Tsuba, Frank and Shinai issues, will oval grip Shinais lead to 1, bad technical habits, and 2, discomfort with some kote? So this is from the Kendo Show Early Access group. If you're not in the group, get in the group. I say it in every video. So, if you're not in the group yet, this must be your first time here. Go and watch the other videos. Right. Oval grip Shinais. There's a couple of things I want to address in there. I've commented on this post actually, and the answer to both questions is no. It does not have a negative effect on your technique, and it won't cause any discomfort in your kote. None at all. Absolutely not. Okay. But what I want to address is your first comment about Tsuba and Franken Shinai. Now, what a Franken Shinai is when you break a Shinai, then you break another Shinai, and then you take them both apart, and then you put the not broken parts back together to make a new Shinai, and that's a Franken Shinai. Okay, so obviously that's harder with an oval grip. Okay, so I've got an oval grip Shinai here. Obviously, you can see that it's longer, sort of at the sides and sort of narrower, with it being an oval. So what I want to really talk about is, if you were to make a Franken Shinai, so if you were to separate all the parts out, and then put them back together. That's obviously a lot easier with a grip that's round because it's easier to match them with other parts. Whereas if it's oval, it's harder to match the staves together. But what I really want to talk about is the tsuba. Okay, so I get this question every now and again. Does a oval grip Shinai need a special tsuba, or do I need to file the tsuba or anything like that? Do I need to adjust it? And no, you don't, okay? You don't. What they do with an oval grip Shinai, they take a round grip Shinai and they shave the sides off, all right? So the longest part is still the same size as a round grip, okay? So all it means is when you push the tsuba on with the round hole, there's a little bit of a gap on either side, but that's not a problem because you're going to use a tsuba dome, right? So as you can see, this is a plastic tsuba with a round hole. Yeah, it's not a massively large hole. It's a normal one that I would use on a different round Shinai. And this is the oval grip Shinai. And I just need to put it straight on as I would any other Shinai. Yeah. And you've got the tsukagawa, so you don't have to worry too much about the gaps at the sides either. And then your tsubadome will go on top of that, like that. Okay, so it fits on just fine. So you don't need to even worry about using a different tsuba, just as you wouldn't with any other type of Shinai. Okay, so what I would say is, indeed, sometimes these they start with a slightly larger circle when they shave the sides off, right? But still, even if it takes, like this one took a little bit of persuading to put on and a little bit of persuading to take off, but it's no problem at all. You don't need to start shaving it down, and you don't need a special one. Okay, so I hope that sort of puts an end to that sort of common query as well. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to do all the like, share, subscribe, all that sort of thing. Leave me a comment down below what you'd like me to rant about next time. Any questions you've got, you can either post them in the comments down there, or you can get into the Kendo Show Early Access group. There's a link in the description. And post it in there. It's great to post questions in there because there's loads of other Kendoka in there from all around the world. So you won't just get my opinion, you'll get loads of different opinions as well. Finally, don't forget to do your shopping at kendostar.com. Obviously, that's where that's the equipment shop that I run. And it's awesome equipment. Of course, I would say that, but it's true. And if you shop there, I'm sure you would agree. That's kendostar.com. So yeah, go and shop there. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.